Welcome back to our podcast at Home on the Lakeshore, where we talk about home loans with our local home loan experts at UnitedOne Credit Union. My name is Mike, and this is episode number 20. Today, we have our special guests rejoining us in the virtual studio. Hello and welcome back, Todd and Sarah with Todd Glover State Farm Agency with their offices in Manitowoc and Cedar Grove. We left off talking with our experts about insurance, and if you're a homeowner or if you're looking to make 2025 the year you buy a home, or perhaps in the next year of 2026 as well, and being aware of insurance and how much that could impact your largest asset and one of the largest purchases you're going to make of your life. We have the experts here to help you. So we have a lot to cover in this episode with our special guests. So I don't know if Julie, you have a joke prepared or not, or if you want us to just dive right into the juicy information that our guests have for us today.
Well, I do have one.
Ooh,
Here goes. I did.
okay.
I'm ready this time. Why did the tomato blush? It saw the salad dressing.
Oh,
I know, they get better every month.
they truly do. You are a delight and a gift to us all, Julie. Thank you. Please
Yeah,
never
sure.
change. All right. Okay. Todd, Sarah, let's get down to business here and talk about insurance. We had a great conversation last time, and we're looking forward to continue that. Last time we talked about replacement value versus actual cash value. We talked about different coverages based on, different kind of events or disasters, if you will, that might befall the home, such as the roof, hail, flood, fire, sump pumps, sewer backup. But we want to pick up the conversation talking about some of the deductible options and seeing more of that percentage of coverage. How does that whole process work?
Yeah, so this is I would say, a trend that's been around a long time in kind of catastrophe-prone areas. So think about your Texas, your Florida, areas like that. And the concept is to share the risk between in this case, the homeowner and the insurance company. And what does that do? Two things. So one, as the values of home go up, the share that the homeowner has matches with that. And so you're like, all right, that makes sense, but what's in it for the homeowner? That helps keep the costs down, and it helps it keeps coverage and companies in areas that tend to see higher catastrophes. What is more recent is that sort of coverage is now kind of in the upper Midwest that we call home. And that's a direct result of, in the industry, the term is severe convective storms. So think wind and hail. Used to be that was an Oklahoma thing, that was a Kansas thing, that was a Texas thing, and now that's a Wisconsin thing. We're seeing it. It's here every year. There are multiple multi-million-dollar hailstorms that are happening in Wisconsin. And so to help make sure that companies are able to kind of help manage the cost of your insurance premiums, and to also make sure that companies are able to keep offering percent deductibles are what you're starting to see kind of across the board. So that being said, we want to make sure that clients realize that's a percent of the value of your home. So having the ability to do a 0.5% or a 1% deductible versus a mandatory 2 or 3 or higher is a big deal. So you want to make sure that as you're shopping, you understand what your out of pocket is going to be. Because if heaven forbid that hail loss hits us versus somewhere else in the state, you got to be able to write a check for that when that comes. So we'd recommend when you're shopping for your homeowner's insurance that you look for a company that's gonna provide some of those lower 0.5%, 1% versus a 2% or higher.
Okay, excellent. Now, Julie, you had a question as well when it comes to prospective home buyers or people that are maybe purchasing their first home.
Yes. One of the questions sometimes we get as the lender is where do I start? Who should I go to? We point people of who do you have car insurance with? Sometimes you get discounts for having more products. But what we'd like to do is, how do we prepare these buyers? Like, do they need to bring in certain things? Do they need to know certain things about the potential house? Do they need to know how many miles they are from a fire hydrant or a fire station. Like, what can we help prepare these people, these buyers for you?
Absolutely. Sarah, you want to take that one?
Most of the information we can usually on the house, I guess, get off of the MLS listing. Um, if it's for sale by owner, then it can be a little bit more difficult. But the main things that we always want to know, like Todd said before, is how old the roof is. When was it last replaced? Um, the realtor should know that from the seller. Um, and things like the electrical, has the electrical been updated, because that could be a big expense to a home buyer if the electrical is old, or if it's the old knob and tube wiring. So things like that, I would say, are the most important. But for the most part, we can find a lot of information online off the listing. But the more information they can give us, the better. But it's really an easy process once they call us. It's better if they give us a little bit of notice. We have some people call, a couple days before closing, and then we're scrambling, but we usually always seem to get it done. So that's a good thing for us to know too, is, when are you looking at closing? Do we have a little bit? Is it, urgent that we need to do this right away? And then, who their mortgage is going to be with. A lot of people don't know when we ask them if they're escrowing, and they're like, well, I'm not sure. What does that mean? And that changes things a little bit on our end, whether we're sending you guys the bill or you want them to pay us directly before closing. So that's always a good thing to know too.
Thank you for pointing that out. We can educate a little bit more on that area. Perfect.
A couple quick things to add on that, if you don't mind, is the home's one of the largest investments most folks have, and we want to make sure that coverage is right. And one of the things that's kind of a misconception is that all policies are the same, all coverages is the same. So we really encourage folks to come sit down with us so that we can make sure that you have the options that are appropriate for your house. What the team and I say is, hey, if we don't make you aware of what some of the options are, we just made a choice for you, and that may not be the choice you want. So that's why we sit down, go through, and make sure that you know what those other options are, so that you're in the position to make that happen. A couple other things. Typically, I know we provide a lot of discounts if you have all of your stuff in one spot. One of the things we try and do is be a one-stop shop. Unfortunately, a lot of folks look at insurance as a bit of a hassle, and so what we want to do is make the process easy for you. How do we take hassle and pain points out of your life so that you're able to do what you do and enjoy your family and your life and your work and those sorts of things? So,
I have a question for you guys. Is there a minimum electrical service needed as far as like ampage or anything? Is there kind of like a step where you can't insure it?
There is. That's going to vary by company. That's going to vary kind of by age. And so what we'd say is, at least for us, call us. We'll walk you through that as you go through. Generally speaking, if you're looking at a house or wanting to buy a house that has knob and tube wiring, which is what Sarah mentioned, that's going to be almost a showstopper for most folks. So just know that the cost of pulling that out and updating that before you sign on the dotted line, before you get that mortgage on there, that you're going to pretty much be uninsurable until that's taken care of. So just as you're looking out there, that's something I think that prospective home buyers would want to be aware of.
Thank you.
Yes, as the son of an electrician, make sure the electrical in that home is up to par and up to code, right? Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, one of the other questions or topics that we wanted to touch base on was liability. I know that becomes a big question for people that currently have policies, as well as those that might be looking to get one as they enter into the home buying market. What can you tell us more about liability?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll let Sarah jump in a little bit. One of the things we want folks to realize is most homeowners policies are a package policy. So there's not just protection for your house. There's also what we call kind of lawsuit protection. What if somebody he says I've done something wrong or wants to get some money for me? So this could be things like, hey, I've got a dog and my dog bit somebody. There are some policies out there where there is limited or they may actually not provide coverage if you have a certain sort of dog. Pools are another one you want to make sure that your company is not going to limit or get that coverage away from. Because, again, if somebody is saying you did something wrong and they're coming after you on there, you want to make sure that not just the cost of that, but also the defense costs are covered on there. So, Sarah, do you want to talk about umbrella policies a little bit and kind of the affordability and how that can really help the average homeowner?
Yeah, definitely. So, like Todd said, the umbrella policy is pretty much like a lawsuit protection policy. It's additional liability that extends over everything you have with us or not with us if it would be with another company. So additional liability over your homeowners, your vehicles, your boat, your ATVs, anything like that. So if you were to cause a bad accident, either at your home, away from your home, in your vehicle, that is meant to protect your assets. It's also going to give you an additional discount on your auto insurance for carrying an umbrella. And at State Farm, our umbrellas, they start at $1 million and we can write them up to $25 million, depending on what your asset base is and your need is. We just always want to make sure there aren't any gaps in there that a trial attorney could get through and, get to your personal assets. But it's a great thing to have. Hopefully you never need to use it because usually if you did, that means, something bad happened. But it's a great thing to have. It just gives you a little bit extra peace of mind to know that you're covered properly and protected if something bad were to ever happen. And homeowners liability also follows you worldwide. So, if you were traveling and you unintentionally injured somebody, your homeowners liability is there to protect you and it follows you, wherever you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
One quick item to jump in that may be helpful for your listeners is that limits matter, whether that's the limit on your house, liability limits there, because once your insurance company has paid those limits, the customer is responsible for everything else. So especially if somebody's shopping online and they're not an insurance expert, it could be, hey, that's a great price. But if you select something on your home and there's a loss and it goes way beyond that, you're still responsible for whatever that damage is. And so the old penny wise, pound foolish, and having someone that can help you understand what your coverage does is very important, because we see this a lot as folks have gotten more tech savvy and the messaging is like, hey, pick your price, cheap, until something happens, because then you could find that your wages are garnished, there's a lien against your house, assets are seized, and that's just something that the average household cannot recover from. And we want to make sure that none of the folks in our community ever have that experience.
And that's why we're here with this show, right? Is we want to give people the expertise and the access to those experts. So, folks listening, we got Todd and Sarah here. Feel free to reach out to them to learn more about them and their agency and what they offer. But yes, we want to put people into touch with the experts. We're finding that that's really the difference with what we do at UnitedOne as well, is that we offer those same products that you can find online, but what they don't offer that we do is people that are on this podcast with us, Julie, Carrie, we got a new mortgage person that's joining us now, Marla, so hopefully we'll have her on the next podcast as well. And then both of you, human beings behind the technology that have the knowledge to help us walk through these things. So you're not alone in this process, just like we say to our members that are in the home buying process, is you're not alone. You've got an expert to take you step by step through that. And same with the insurance. They have you, experts, to learn and walk through that. So thank you. Let's see. One of the other topics that we wanted to talk about is cost increases. Could you briefly talk about how you base the premiums? Do you run credit reports or things like that? Or how do you decide how much it costs for those premiums for a customer that comes in?
Absolutely. So there have been a lot of pressures that have been kind of impacting specifically homeowners premiums in there. So first, we get a lot of questions about, hey, everything that's going on in California or Florida or whatever, that's why my rates are going up. And at least with respect to State Farm, that's not the case. So we have some of the areas of the country, like a California, Florida, Texas, we've created companies just for those states to protect the rest of the states from that. So we rate Wisconsin based on claims in Wisconsin. And so one of the things, unfortunately, that we're seeing is that with respect to severe storms, wind, hail, specifically, we're not only seeing a lot more storms every single year, but when we're seeing that, what those storms are causing damage-wise is going way up. So if you're in a car and you have a car accident, that's bad, but that's one thing. But if we have a big hailstorm that hits the lakeshore or Madison or wherever, that's hitting hundreds, if not thousands of homes. And if we say arbitrarily that may be $30,000, $40,000 a claim, that adds up quickly. And again, the purpose of insurance is to make sure if there is that sort of loss, that everyone's going to be taken care of and paid. So that's providing a lot of upward pressure. The second thing we're seeing is, and it started with COVID and it just never came down, is the cost of everything has gone up tremendously. It doesn't matter if it's shingles, if it's framing lumber, if it's plywood. And so when we do have a loss, the cost that your roofers and your general contractors are having to pay to purchase and then to pass on to you is going up tremendously. So we have not only a frequency of loss, but also a severity of loss that's coming in there. And those are really what are driving the trends on there. Unfortunately, I don't know that I see those trends going away. So what you want to do is make sure that the coverage you have, A, meets your needs, B, that you've got a local professional that can make sure that all of the discounts, all of the potential kind of options are in there so that you've got the coverage you need for that as we go through. And then also some companies like our State Farm will allow you to have a service. It's called Ting. And so what it does is we, at no cost to you, will pay for a monitoring service that will catch arcing in the electrical behind. So this is the sort of problem that isn't going to flip a breaker, but could cause your house to completely burn down. We put it in place every year. It started to I think last year was almost 20,000 fires were prevented from this. And so it's like a value add we provide to our clients. We're going to be there to help you recover from the unexpected. But I'd much rather that your house never burned down, because we can't pay to get back your memories, your photos, your things like that. And so look for those sorts of packages that can help not just recover from the loss, but help you prevent the loss in the first place, because that's what we want for you.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah, I'm glad you touched a little bit on those natural disasters in other states, because I know we've been asked that question, or you might hear that in conversations with folks out there in the world. So it's nice to know, at least with State Farm, that you guys are basing that pricing model off of what's happening where we live here in Wisconsin. So that's good to know.
Yep. And again, when it comes to the state, I feel compelled to say, just because you haven't had a hail loss in the past 10 years doesn't mean you won't have one this year. And that's what we're pricing for, is to make sure that if that happens, we've got the money to take care of you, put it back, give you the replacement cost, and kind of get you on with your life.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about costs and those kind of things, which we all know that's a part of insurance. But are there ways or tips or tricks that you have in the industry to help avoid those costs or reduce those costs to maximize the coverage?
Yeah, Sarah, do you want to talk a little bit about maybe deductibles and multi-line discounts?
So, choosing the right deductible, can help if you, take a little bit higher deductible and assume more of the risk yourself. Also, claims aren't like they used to be, where a neighbor throws a ball through your window and it's, a few $100s damage and you file a claim. Claims are meant now for, the bigger things, the wind, hail, fires, things like that. So avoiding filing small claims that are, not much more than what your deductible is can really help to keep your rate down. And then, like Todd said, bundling. So the more policies you have, like with us, so home, auto, life insurance is a big one. Protecting everything is going to save you money too, because it's going to give you more discounts altogether on the whole entire package.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you. That's taken us through the notes that we had here. But Julie, Carrie, any other items as you're working with prospective home buyers or people looking to buy a second home or their next home that would be beneficial for them to learn while we've got the experts here joining us?
I feel like we've covered a lot of information, and sometimes we don't get those kind of questions. It's more of, where do I start? Where do I go? What information do I need? And you've given us great education on that as well. But thank you so much. This was great information.
I
Yes.
agree.
And I'm
Thank
not
you.
sure if you guys are aware too, if you're ever working with anybody. Todd and I were licensed in Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, and Iowa. So if you ever have somebody that's, buying a second home in one of those areas, we can definitely help them out.
Good to
Awesome.
know. Thank
Good.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. All righty. Well,
Mhm.
thank you both very much for joining us. Again, we had Todd Glover and Sarah Musial joining us on this show from Todd Glover State Farm Agency with offices in Manitowoc and Cedar Grove. Thank you both so much for lending your expertise to our listeners. And you are available. Folks can look you up online. We will also have some blog articles and information we'll be posting on our website and social media for folks that want to learn more and get into contact with you both. So thank you very much. We really appreciate your expertise.
Thanks
Thank you.
for
We
having us.
Thank you.
appreciate the
Thank
partnership
you.
with UnitedOne.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So we'd also like to thank our listeners for joining us today. If you have any questions about insurance, home loans, or just about anything to do with the home buying process in general, feel free to reach out to us. You can contact us, email homeloans@unitedone.org, and we'd love to highlight and answer your questions on a future show. If you like what we're doing, we encourage you to give us a like and rate us wherever you listen to your podcast, and also feel free to share that podcast with others. You're welcome to follow us on social media. So if you want to get more information and contact information for our wonderful guests today, that can be found at Facebook/UnitedOneCU and also on Instagram with @UnitedOneCU with the one all spelled out. We look forward to having you join us again next time. Thank you very much. Take care.